Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
Ma'am, good morning. Am I audible? Shall we proceed,
Yes,
ma'am?
ma'am.
Thank you. We shall proceed.
Shall we start now, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, we shall start. And sorry, scholars, sorry for the delay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I am held up in the semester examination. Sorry for the delay. We can start now.
A pleasant good morning to all. This is a 6 days national level workshop on research methodology. You can speak well if your tongue can deliver the message of your heart. I welcome our chief guest. I call our fellow member to welcome our chief guest, Dr. S. Anita Raj, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics.
My warm welcome to you all gathered here for the national level urban research methodology for the section 1. Star signs at night, but some star signs at bright daylight. I welcome one of the stars, the Honorable Secretary, Dr. R. Reja Rajendran, Queen's College of Arts and Science for Women. I welcome you, sir. Leadership is the art of motivation. The art lead us to reach a goal in every path of nature. I welcome one of the art beloved principals, Dr. G. Uma Mageshwari ma'am, Queen's College of Arts and Science for Women. I welcome you, ma'am. She who put her soul and heart in uplifting our others to attain their goals. Yes. Now I welcome our chief guest, Dr. B. Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, District College, Tiruchirappalli. I welcome you, ma'am. Last but not least, I welcome most precious diamonds which finds wherever and whatever. I welcome all faculty members, research scholars, non-teaching staff, coordinates. Welcome you all. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you for your warm welcome, Anita Raj ma'am. Extend your mind to know about our chief guest. The best is yet to come from the words of Dr. R. Duraiselvi, Assistant Professor, Department of Tamil, to deliver the guest intro. Duraiselvi ma'am.
Welcome. Good morning to all. I am great honor to invite Dr. B. Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Ishabiba College, Tiruchirappalli, to deliver her speech. She has completed her PhD Computer Science in Badaras University, Srimad Andavan Arts and Science College. She has completed her Master of Philosophy in Computer Science in Badaras University, Kurinji College of Arts and Science, and her MCA in Sastra Team University, Tanjavur. She has 20 years experience in teaching. She has attended 114 conferences, workshops, seminars. She has presented 59 research papers. She has published in 23 journals. She has published 2 books. She has organized 20 conference, workshops, seminars. She was for 14 times as research person. She has 1 consultancy. She has received 23 awards. She has 2 patents. She has 5 professional memberships. She has working experience, anti-ragging and editor of magazine, etc. Once again, I invite Dr. B. Gayatri to deliver her speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Duraiselvi ma'am. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Ma'am, we are all ready to pay the interest from your knowledge of investment on the fund statement of problem. I invite Dr. B. Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Bishop Weber College, Trichy. Ma'am, the session is yours.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all. Thank you for your wishes and thank you for your good introduction. And thank you, Durachalvi ma'am. And I wish to congratulate the entire team for your team effort you are doing right now for this wonderful national workshop, which is going to be very useful for the research scholars to attain their research to reach their goal. And I wish to extend my thanks for the principal ma'am who gave me this opportunity to communicate with the scholars. Thank you, ma'am. And I wish to extend my thanks to the Honorable Secretary and the organizer and the co-organizer of this enormous, wonderful national workshop. And we shall move on. And scholars, I wish you a happy listening for you for another 60 minutes. Happy listening to you. Is everything is clear? My audio is clear. We shall proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I'm going to share my screen. Acknowledge whether my screen is visible.
No, ma'am.
Acknowledge me whether it is visible or not.
No, ma'am. The screen is not visible. Yes, ma'am. It is now.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, we are going to start it right now. Just a quick overview of this. We are going to see how to frame a research problem, how to frame a statement of the problem. Very simple. This is the task what we are going to see now. You would have gone through many things about this. I'm just going to give a recap and do's and don'ts about the framing of the research problem, how to have your statement of problem. Because why we are concentrating on statement of the research problem this much is that if this is going to be done, it means halfway you're gone through. That is the point. If this is going to be done, you're gone through. You're completely gone with your thesis, with your research. That is going to be the task. So the overview of this is what is research problem, the meaning of that, a definition of that, and what are the components in that. And next we see about the sources of the problem, from where we can find. And next the criteria of selection, how to select. And steps in problem identification, how to identify. And do's and don'ts that we should do in selecting the problem. And formulation of a problem, importance and steps in formulation. That's it. Very simple. Okay. So what is research problem? We know what is research and we know what is going to be a research problem. It is going to be a recap. So a research problem is a question that a researcher wants to answer. The researcher wishes to answer for that particular problem, for that particular question, or a problem that a researcher wants to solve. He or she wishes to solve that. That is actually a research problem. It is a situation that causes the researcher to feel apprehensive, confused, and ill at ease actually. This is the situation of the researcher. He feels to be apprehensive, he feels to be confused and ill at ease. So the identification and formulation of the research problem is the first step in the research process. To start with the research process, this is going to be the first step. We need to identify and we need to formulate that. That is the first step we have to do. It is believed, what it is believed means, most of the good research studies needs lot of time for selection of a research problem. Yes, absolutely. We need to invest lot of time for finding the research problem. So that is what the good research studies has been revealed. We need to invest a lot of time for selection of a research problem. We need to invest. Why? Because the first we need to find out a broader area of interest. And then we need to see for the research ideas, that is the research problem existing in that particular broad area. And after finding it out, you need to narrow down again, narrowing down. This is the main keyword what the researcher, the scholars, they have to keep in their mind, narrowing down. That's more important. You do need to narrow down. You need to narrow down to your problem. You need to pinpoint your problem. So we need to invest a lot of time for selection of a research problem, absolutely. And what is the definition saying is that by Curlinger is that it is an interrogative sentence, a questionnaire session. Okay, it is an interrogative sentence or statements that asks what relation is going to exist between two or more variables. You might have two or more variables and you're going to say what is the relation, and through how? Through an interrogative sentence or an interrogative statement. That is the definition of the research problem. We are going to see the components of the research problem. What are all the components we have? There must be an individual or a group which has some difficulty. There must be some objective to be attained at. If one wants nothing, one cannot have a problem. That's it. So we need to have a group, and then we need to have some objectives. The research problem is the aim. Okay. So what we have as a research problem is going to be the aim. To reach that aim, we are going to have some objectives. It might be 3 or 4 objectives or any number, depends upon the scholars. So when we move on with the objective, the first objective done, second done, third done, fourth done, aim has been achieved. So we are going to have the objectives and that must be attained. And this is what the research scholars will do. The aim, they have a problem, and under that they'll be having the objectives. And when they look on to the first objective and when they complete, they put it on a journal. And second one, second journal. Third, like this. After this, they will consolidate this as a 3 to 4 chapters. The objectives which has been done, which has been published, which will be taken in the thesis as 3 to 4 chapters. If it is 3 objectives, 3 chapters, 4 objectives, 4 chapters, and before and after chapters, we all know. So this is what we call as objective. There must be some alternative means for attaining the objectives one wish to attain. We should have some course of action, how to attain the objective. And this means that there are at least 2 means variable to a researcher. For if he has no choice of means, he cannot have a problem. Because if he cannot have a choice, that means you don't have a problem. That is the thing. When we have an aim, we should have an objective. And we will be having the objective. There must remain some doubt in the mind of a researcher with regard to the selection of the alternatives. This means that research must answer the question concerning the relative efficiency of the possible alternatives. We need to have to find the possible alternatives. There must be some environment to which the difficulty pertains. These are all the components of the research problem. So what is the source of problem and criteria of the selection? So steps in problem identification is that statement of the problem in general way. You have to see to the statement of the problem in a general way first of all. That is, we say it as a broader one. And then we understanding the nature of the problem. We try to understand the nature of the problem. What nature is that? What type of nature it contains? We are going to understand it. And we are going to survey the available literature. Surveying is a very important step. We are going to survey the available literature regarding a broader area and also the narrowed down area. We are going to survey the available literature, what are all we have. So that is going to be done. And developing the ideas through discussions. Another main important thing. Surveying and developing the ideas through discussion. Both are all this also is a type of survey actually. So the available literature, what we have, we survey in that, and we develop the ideas through the discussions. We discuss with the people with the same mindset or with the same area or with the same knowledge or with the same wavelength, whatever it may be. We will be discussing with them. Through that, we will be developing some ideas. That is to be done in problem identification. And we need to rephrase the research problem into a working proposition. Very important step. We need to rephrase. Yes, our research problem, our aim, our objective should be in a standard format. We call it as a research format. It should reach the standard. Just like that, we cannot give the aim and the objectives. We need to rephrase the research problem into a working proposition. So these are the ways. The statement of the problem in general way and understanding the nature of the problem, surveying with the available literatures what we have, and developing the ideas through the discussions, rephrasing the research problem into a working proposition, all these. It's the statement of the problem in a general way, what we say. So define the problem in general way. First, define the problem in general way. For example, does negative news interest people more than positive news? Yes. Does negative news interest people more than positive news? We are going to narrow it down by rethinking over the problem. Here, it is very general way. Negative news, positive news, interest. 3 keywords, that's all. Here, we are going to narrow it down by rethinking. The same problem, we rethink again. So we are going to consider the feasibility of the problem. So for example, does negative news such as robbery, corruption interest people more than positive news like country economic growth? So here what happens, we can see how to define in general way, study the related subject thoroughly, do preliminary survey or pilot survey. After we have done all these 3 things, we will be able to find out this particular narrowing down. Does negative news such as robbery, corruption interests people more than positive news like country economic growth? So we can find the difference between the general question and now. There we have, does negative news interest people more than positive news? That's it. And here we have narrowed down. So we need to define it in a general way, study the related subject. Related things we need to study. How to study thoroughly. And we have to do some preliminary survey, or we call it as pilot survey. So understanding the nature of the problem. Here we are going to see understanding the nature of the problem. That is the next step we have told. So the best way, what it is through discussion. Is another type of survey I told is through discussion. With whom? Discussion with the people who has good knowledge about that particular problem, what we are going to deal with. So we are going to discuss with the people with the problem, what we are going to deal with, and who has good knowledge about that. So this is the best way to understand the problem is through discussion. This is the understanding the nature of the problem way to understand it. And next one is surveying the available literature. We already said, and it is going to be an elaborate about that. Survey all the research which are already undertaken in related problem. We need to survey all the research thing which has been done in the related problem itself. What is the need of that? Why we need to do means it helps to narrow down the problem, to identify the research gaps, gives new ideas in the related area, and helps for the research design. Hold. Is any chats over there? You want me to say anything? Is everything fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so surveying the available literature, that is, survey all the research in the related problem, what we have taken and what we have found out in that particular related problem. What we are going to do is that we are going to survey all the research which are all available, through which we will be able to narrow down the problem. The first step we told, we need to narrow down from the broader area. We need to narrow down, we said. So we can narrow down the problem. And we can identify the research gaps also. We can identify the research gaps. And it gives new ideas in the related area. What we have started, we will be able to get some new ideas. And it is going to help us with the research design. It helps in the research design ultimately. So this is a huge benefit of this particular surveying the available literature. Through this, we can explore more. And we can, the main advantage of surveying is narrowing down the problem, through which all other things will be done easily. The narrowing down of the problem, it is the biggest challenge with the research scholars. How to narrow down my problem? how to find out my problem, how to pinpoint my problem. The best way is to survey and also to discuss with the people with the same knowledge and who is going to deal with the same problem. As you cannot find more people, the another best choice is surveying with the literature, surveying with the people or surveying with the literature. So with this only, you will be able to narrow down your problem. You have to pinpoint all the research areas and all the related problems, and you should find the gap. That is to identify the research gap. And that is your gap where you are going to fit in your research. In that gap only you are going to fit in. So you need to identify that. And it will also give you some new ideas in the related area where you are searching for. And it will ultimately helps you in your research design. That's it. And next, developing the ideas through discussions. We told we can discuss with the people, discussions. So discussion always produces useful information. Yes, when we start discussing, we'll be able to produce the useful information out of it. And various new ideas can be developed through such an exercise. When you do this type of exercise, when you do this type of discussions, keep on doing, we'll be able to get new ideas. That new ideas is your research area. That new idea is your research problem. So the researcher must discuss the problem with the colleagues or others who have enough experience in the same area or who is working in the similar problem. And this we called as an experience survey. This is what I told. We'll be seeing about two surveys. The one is literature survey and next one is experience survey. Hold. So we are going to discuss with the people who is going to have the experience in the similar problem or who is working in the same problem. The experienced people also you can discuss, or one who is working right now also you can discuss. So this we call as an experience survey. So the two surveys are more important. What are they means? The literature survey and the experience survey. Literature survey, when you go through, you'll be able to get many new ideas. You can find the research gap. You can fit yourself on it if it is comfortable for you. And the experience survey, with this, what we get means we will be getting the pros and cons of that particular research problem. And what is the nook and corners of that particular problem? Because it is out of experience. They are going to share their experience, thereby which you will be able to know whether to proceed or not to proceed or how to proceed. You'll be able to get many answers. So through discussion, it is a very important step to identify your problem statement. So rephrasing the research problem. Another important step. We have narrowed down. We have found out. So how to rephrase that? So rephrase the research problem into operational term. How we are going to work on it. In that point of view, you need to rephrase. So first what we'll be having, right? The initial question, the initial research question. Here we have an example. Okay. Why is productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? A very broad question. We are thinking about the productivity in Japan. That is, we are wondering that why is so much higher than India? So after we understand this problem, after the literature survey and the experience survey has been done, available literature has taken place and discussion of the problem has taken place, and now the question is going to be rephrased. How? The thing is that what factors were responsible for the higher labor productivity of Japan's manufacturing industries during the decade 1971 to 1980 relative to India's manufacturing industries? Excuse me. So here it is being rephrased. How means what factors are going to be responsible for the higher labor productivity of Japan's manufacturing industries during the decade? So time is also specified. 1971 to 1980 relative to India's manufacturing industries. In what way? That means in manufacturing industries. And in manufacturing industries, what is there in the doubt about the higher labor productivity? That is the thing we have. So now we go on to the initial research question again. We can see why is productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? And now we are able to rephrase that as higher labor productivity. And the period, the decade is able to be given, and also in what industry, in manufacturing industry. And now this is a rephrased research question where we have an clear idea of what is done and what is going to be done. So it is very clear. This is what is a rephrase of research problem. And an awesome thing, do's and don'ts. What we have to do and what we shouldn't do. So subject which is overdone should not be normally chosen, for it is be difficult to throw any new light in such a case. Which is being overdone. That means which has been discussed by many researchers by many times. It's to be very simple as overdose, we say, right? Overdose is good for nothing, right? So which is going to be overdone should not be normally chosen. Why? Because it is going to be a very difficult task to throw any new light. We will not be able to find any research gap over there. It is very tough to find the research gap. Very tough. So, which is overdone, do not choose that type of subjects. And controversial subject should not become the choice of an average researcher. Controversial subject. We don't need to touch upon the controversial subject. No need. Don't go for that. These are all the don'ts. And research questions should be clear always. For example, we have an unclear question here. Why are social networking sites harmful? Very gentle, very broad. Why are social networking sites harmful? And now we try to make it clear. How are online users experiencing, or which social networking site? So here what happens? We are able to say the type of the harm, that is the privacy issues, and who gets harm means the users. So we are able to rephrase. This is what is the rephrasing of the statement of the problem. How are online users experiencing, or which social networking site? Something like this. We need to make it clear. So the first don't is subject which is overdone. We should not take that subject because we will not be able to find any research gap in that. And also the controversial subject, that should not be the choice. The research question must be focused. We need to focus because it should be clear. It should be focused. We need to get the point properly and what the researcher is coming to say. We need to get it properly. Here we have an unfocused question. What is the effect on the environment from global warming? It's not clear. And now we can focus and we can make it clear. How is glacial melting affecting penguins in Antarctica? Very clear. What are the clear things we have? We have a specific cause called glacial melting. We have a specific place called Antarctica. And we are able to find the specific group which is affected called penguin. So it's a very good problem statement. First, we had an unfocused problem statement stating that what is the effect on the environment from global warming? And when we are able to focus, what happens? How is glacial melting affecting the penguins in Antarctica? We are able to focus very clearly. The cause is the glacial melting, the place is Antarctica, the specific group whom we are going to affect is penguin. Yes, very clear. So the selection of a problem must be preceded by a preliminary study. We need to study that properly. When the field of inquiry is relatively new and does not have available set of well-developed techniques, a brief visibility study must always be undertaken. We need to have a brief feasibility studied before we undertake feasibility, whether we will be able to reach it. And the research question should be appropriately complex. We have a two simple question here. Very simple. How are doctors addressing diabetes in the India? And we have some appropriately complex research question. What are common traits of those suffering from diabetes in India? And how can these commonalities be used to aid the medical community in prevention of this disease? So in the simple question, if just we looked upon online, we get answer immediately. How are doctors addressing diabetes in India? We will get answer immediately when you look for online. There is no role of analysis. No role. And when we have this appropriate complex question, what happens? So complex one requires significant investigation and evaluation. We need to have a proper investigation and proper evaluation. Then only we will be able to concentrate on this complex question. Whereas the simple question, we'll be having many answers for that, nothing to analyze over there. Whereas in this complex only, we'll be able to have some significant investigation and significant evaluation. We can evaluate. So this is how a problem statement must look like. Formulation of a problem. Formulation means translating and transforming the selected research problem into a scientifically researchable question. So it is going to be the demarcation of a problem area within a certain context, which should involve who, what, where, when, and why of the problem situation. It should answer all these one. Who, what, where, when, and why. The statement of the problem should be capable of answering all these stuff. It should be answering for who, what, where, when, and why. Then the job is done. We need to formulate. We need to translate. We need to transform the selected research topic into a scientifically researchable question. We need to change it as a scientifically researchable question. It should be done. A very simple and beautiful sentence. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. A problem, when it is well defined, it is going to be a problem which is half solved. Yes, done. Halfway we are gone. Half of our work is done. Half of the research itself is done. A problem which is going to be well defined, it is going to be a problem half solved. So if you don't have that, what happens? So the ill-defined problems may create hurdles. What kind of hurdles? We'll be not knowing what data to be collected. And we'll be not knowing what characteristics of data are relevant and which need to be studied. And we need not know what relations ought to be explored. And we need not know what techniques ought to be used for the purpose. We could not find answer for any of this when we have an ill-defined problem. It will create all sorts of hurdles like this. That is, what data ought to be collected, what characteristics of data are relevant and need to be studied, what relations ought to be explored, what techniques ought to be used for the purpose. We will not be able to answer for any of these questions if we have an ill-defined problem. So we say problem which is well defined is going to be a problem which is half solved. So why is a good problem formulation is very much important? Why we concentrate more? Formulating a problem formulation is the first and most important step of a research process. It is the first step, an important step. So the problem formulation is like an identification of a destination before undertaking a journey. Very good example. When we start up with a journey, we know where we are going to go, which is our destination. Yes, we know. The same is a problem formulation. Without knowing where we are going to go, how we can start our journey? Not possible. Yes. So the problem formulation is equal to the destination before undertaking a journey. The research problem serves as a foundation of a research study, like a building and its foundation. Another good example we have here. When we build, we first concentrate in the foundation. Yes, we do. We concentrate on the foundation. And the foundation is good. The building is good. The same way, our problem statement of the problem, finding a good problem, is like having a very good foundation. The building is going to be fine. Our research process is going to be fine. If it is well formulated, our research problem, if it is well formulated, we can expect a good study to follow. Yes, we can expect a good study to follow. Where we had to follow, what we have to follow, everything will be very clear. Steps in problem formulation. How to do? What are the steps? The first is developing the title. We need to identify the title. And then building a conceptual model. Next step, we need to have a conceptual model. We need to define the objective of the study. That is a step we are going to do to reach the aim, the objectives. And setting the investigative questions, the interrogative questions, the investigative questions we need to set. And then the formulation of the hypothesis. And the operational definition of concepts, how we are going to deal with the concepts. And delimiting the scope of the study. We need to frame our study. We need to frame our margin. Delimiting the scope of the study. These are all the steps in the problem formulation. Developing the title, building a conceptual model, and defining the objective of the study, setting the investigative questions, what we are going to see, and formulation of the hypothesis, and operational definition of the concepts, how we are going to deal with the concepts, and delimiting the scope of the study. So, we are going to end up, at a glance, we can throw light what we have seen. The research problem, its definition, its meaning, its components, and what are all the sources of problem and criteria of the selection, how to select. And we have seen about the steps in the problem identification. And we saw about the do's and don'ts in selecting the problem. And about the formulation of the problem. And the steps in the formulation and what is the importance of the formulation. We have seen all these. Yes. I thank you all for your attention. Thank you so much for your listening. And you can catch me at this number and you can mail me up. And I given my website also in the slide. If you want, you can go through the slide, go through the site. And here it's your part, questions. You can discuss with your questions. Scholars, if you have any questions, you can unmute and you can ask your queries.
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Padmalata from Electronics Department, Sri Venkateswara University, Tirupati. I'm a research
Very good
scholar.
afternoon, ma'am. Very good
I'm a
afternoon. All the
research
very
scholar.
best.
Thank you so much. When you said narrowing down a problem, during this time period, if we find a problem is already solved, let us say after 6 months or 7 months of duration of our identification of a problem, if it is already solved or if it is the solution is already available, can we extend that problem to another step?
Yes, ma'am. We can absolutely do that. That we what you are trying to say is in a simple format. We can call it as a research gap.
Yeah,
We can find the
exactly.
gap.
Yeah.
Yes, we can find the gap ultimately. There will be a gap when we keep on scrutinizing on the survey, when we keep on surveying it, you will be able to pinpoint the gap, and that gap is your problem,
Okay.
and we can
And
find out the research gap.
okay.
Ma'am, shall I ask one question, ma'am?
When we are identifying the problem is found to be genuine and unique. If we want to take the patent rights, should we take the patent rights before solving the problem or after solution of the problem? Maybe that
Only
means
after the
after 2
solution,
years.
ma'am.
After two
Only
years or
after the
3 years.
solution.
Okay.
Yes. Only after getting the solution, you can go for the patent.
Okay.
Without solution, when we fill up the form itself, we'll be getting stuck.
Yeah.
We have some major 4 forms over there while filling the patent. We have many forms while filling the patent, and we have major 4 forms to be located properly. In that, a very important form, we need to look for the solution. And actually patent filing is another important discussion what we have to make. And recently April 26th, we have our International Property Rights Day. It should be discussed separately.
Okay.
Yes, we can do.
Okay.
Only after finding the
Ma'am,
solution we can do, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, ma'am.
Very good morning, sir.
My name is Ajay Kumar, Assistant Professor of Government Aided College from Hyderabad, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me, sir,
Um,
your query.
my query is that I have already published some articles which is in reputed journals. So if I want to take that particular part of my work, can I use this in my thesis, madam, in PhD thesis? It's already published. It's my
Absolutely.
work only. It's my work only, actually. So I can take some part of that and I can present in my PhD thesis, ma'am. Please light on this.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, we can do, sir. The thing is that what we have done as a published is your objective. Yes,
Okay,
our
okay.
problem is our aim, and to reach that aim, we are splitting up into the objectives. To be very
Okay,
simple, we
ma'am.
call it as modules, right?
Okay,
So we call here
right.
as objective. And that
Okay,
objective, when you have reached that objective, you have published. And that you can
okay,
incorporate in your thesis. It is possible, and we can do that because it is our work, it is our contribution, and we can take it into our thesis.
okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, shall I ask one question, ma'am?
Yeah, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So you're from?
I am from Chennai, ma'am. I'm assistant professor from New College. I'm doing research in I'm doing research in Guru Nanak College, ma'am.
Yeah, all the
Simultaneously,
very
I'm
best,
doing
sir.
research and as well as okay, ma'am. I'm waiting for
All
my
the very
Viva hours.
best.
So you said yes. You said about patent right? No. So you have said you have said about this patent right. So if I want to apply for the patent right, I'm from a humanity background. Can I apply for that patent? If it is a problem is unique and solution is unique means, can I apply for that, ma'am? So if you are
Yeah,
if it
absolutely,
means if
sir.
so if I'm applying
Sir,
for that, what is the
absolutely.
procedure? So what is the procedure, ma'am?
Yeah.
Can you guide me, ma'am, please?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes. Absolutely. You have an answer in your question itself, sir. Unique. That is the keyword what you have. Unique. Yes. When your problem is
Yes,
going to be unique and your solution is going to be unique, ultimately you can take it for the patent. And the patent filing is going to be very simple. We have a website. You can go and search as IPR patent, and in that it is a government website. And when you log in, you need to log in. You have to give your institutional ID, your name, everything, all sort of things, and then you can take up your problem. You need to fill some forms. What I have told already to that ma'am. You need to fill some requirements. You need to give the abstract solution, everything. And when you log in, you'll just move on with all these steps you have to do. Sir?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
ma'am.
much.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Participants, is there any queries?
If there is any queries, participants, you can ask now.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. This is Tangalakshmi, a research scholar from Madurai Kamaraj University, ma'am. I have
All the
one
very best,
doubt.
ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I have one small doubt in this, ma'am. Actually, we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
framed a statement of the problem, isn't it, ma'am? When we
Yes,
are
ma'am.
doing research on that, the previous study related to the R problem, whoever in done the related to this problem, we should explain the previous study in our statement of the problem in our thesis, ma'am. We should mention the previous study in our statement of the problem, or we should explain only our statement of the problem in the thesis, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a very good question actually. We need to focus on our proposed study alone in the statement of the problem. Only our proposed study, only our proposed problem, what we are going to take further. That is alone must be concentrated in the statement of the problem. And the existing one, that could be discussed in the literature survey, in the introduction part. When we write thesis, it could be taken in the introduction part, and it must be done in the literature survey, in all these places. But whereas in our statement of problem, we need to concentrate only on our proposed problem. Hope you got it, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
If there is any queries, scholars? Okay, before moving to vote of thanks, let us kindly share your feedback in the shared link. If there is any queries, can you ask now? Okay. A wise person knows that there is something to give return from gaining knowledge in thanks. Nothing more can equal that. I call Dr. A. Gnanasoundari, Assistant Professor, Department of Hospital Administration, to deliver the vote of thanks. Gnanasoundari, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Kindly
Good morning
continue.
to everyone. Okay, ma'am. Good morning to everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Secretary, sir. My sincere and heartfelt thanks to our board principal, madam. I extend my warm and heartily thanks to our chief guest, Dr. B. Gayatri, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Bishop Sibar College, Tiruchirappalli. Thank you for your valuable thought and ideas for the wonderful session. Once again, I thank you, ma'am. And I also thanks to our faculty members, coordinators, participants, non-teaching staffs who made this session as great success. Once again, I thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jnanasundari ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Gayatri ma'am. It was
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
It is
Thank
really
you.
a pleasure
Thank
for
you.
us, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you, scholars, for your valuable time. You have listened a lot. I hope it would be an mind-blowing session for you. And I think I would have helped you a little to move on with your research. I hope it will be better for you. And I wish you all the very best to have your good research journey. I thank the team. I thank the Honorable Secretary for this wonderful opportunity. Our Principal Ma'am, I thank you so much, Principal Madam. And I thank the organizers also. And all the very best for all of your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for.
Thank you, Gayatri ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.